sing for the years, sing for the laughter, sing for the tears. Sing with me if it's just for today. Maybe tomorrow the good Lord will take you away. Sing with me, sing for the years, sing for the laughter, sing for the tears. Sing with me if it's just for today. Maybe tomorrow the good Lord will take you away. Dream on, dream on, dream on. Dream yourself a dream come true. Dream on, dream on, dream on, dream on, dream on, dream on, dream on. Oh. Sing with me, sing for the years, sing for the laughter, sing for the tears. Sing with me if it's just for today. Maybe tomorrow the good Lord will take you away. Sing with me, sing for the years, sing for the laughter, sing for the tears. Sing with me if it's just for today. Maybe tomorrow the good Lord will take you away. Dream on.
Hi, Fremont Middle School. I'm Joel Johnston at Midland. Loved watching your show. You did a great job. I know this is a weird year. We're not doing as long a shows as we normally do, but you're still doing it, and that's so important. I've said this to a lot of groups. There are some schools where kids are just choosing not to do show choir, or some schools where they don't think they can. But then you lose a year of growth, and you lose a year of building memories and having fun. And so you're still doing the show, and it's at a good level. So there's certain things I always expect from a group at Fremont Middle School, and you delivered. Number one, I expect them to sing really well, and you guys really sing powerfully. There are very few moments in this show where I thought, okay, come on, you got to sing. And you're singing in parts. Music, to some degree, probably this year is simpler than what you've done in the past, but that's what you have to do this year because we don't have as much rehearsal time and we haven't been together as long, but that's really good. I want to go through from song to song real quick and just talk about what you did and give you some ideas of things that might help make it even better. So when you walk in, we've got to walk in with pride, with Tiger Pride, and with focus. So I've got to make sure that, and I know it's always weird with a video, so maybe it was different for you than walking on a stage in front of an audience, but we've got to make sure that you're there, you hit your spot, and you're ready to go. Really great solo here at the beginning. And I really like when the vocals started, it just sounded strong right off the bat. And I heard you singing parts just right off the bat. And as a choir director, that just makes my heart happy. I love to see that. There's a moment in A Million Dreams where you're just doing what I call a pivot step touch. And so you are here and you're turning. And this can have a lot of variety in it, and that's not always a good thing. So I saw different things happening with arms. Whether there's an arm swing or not, we want to clean that up. I would say keep it pretty much here. And then what I saw was with the feet, sometimes there were people here and doing a point, and some that weren't. None of those is a good or a bad answer. The only bad answer is if we're not all doing the same thing. So I would probably lean towards simplifying it a little bit so we can focus on the vocals and just get that nice, really tall feel, and then keeping the feet pretty close together so that they stay tight and they look the same across the group. I think when you get to, and you maybe were supposed to do this because I know your director and she's smart about this kind of thing, but when you get to the final, because every night I lie in bed, I would take it even softer and just make that, the music gets softer. I would, as a singer, bring that way back so that it becomes kind of a personal thing. And then speaking of personalizing, since we have masks on, it's really hard to show a lot of facial expression, but you can still look like you are communicating. So I want to see your heads move a little bit, and maybe you're singing here because every night I lie in bed and then it moves, and you're just like you're talking to us. And we have a tendency once we get these masks on to kind of just feel like we're robots, but you still got to move your body even if the choreography is not there, so that you're communicating with us that way. The ending. Arm cross, head. There must have been something about how the timing of the arms crossed, and then I think head up at the end instead of head down. Because I think head down has a different feel, but when you're singing about you have a million dreams and every night and you lie in bed thinking about them, we don't think about dreams this way. We think about it this way. And so I would tend to want to look up towards the end of that song. Like the little dream theme going on here, it makes a lot of sense. When you get to Dream On, there's a lot of long arm movements and more lyrical kind of choreography, and that's harder to clean. So what you want to think about is when you're doing long arm motions, there has to be a prep, there has to be a middle, and there has to be an end to that move. And when it's super long, we've got to really count those out, because we had instances where some people were getting there too soon, which is usually what happens. People go, yeah, I'm done. But you got to make sure that there's energy here, and then it takes like it's an effort to get all the way to that final spot. So you want to make sure that you've looked at all of those long motions and make sure that you know where the prep is, where the middle is, and where that end is. Likewise, when you're singing long notes, you've got to make sure you know exactly where the cutoff is. And the biggest one is when there's an S at the end of a word. So you sing the word tears, got to make sure that that S happens at the same time. You have a spot where you get to kind of ad-lib and kind of jam. I like that kind of moment. We've just got to make sure that everybody's involved. So you don't want to be that kid who's doing too much, but you also don't want to be that kid who's doing nothing. So there's got to be this agreement across the group. How much are we going to give and how much are we going to be able to move in that? You do a lunge on Sing With Me, and I'm wondering, just as a little choreography filler, if in the music you could rise out of that, but in groups. So maybe a group in back, group in front, or group in middle, group in front. And I'm going to do this, you should be able to see a little bit, even though I'm right here. In show choir, we don't stand, we rise. So if you're here, you come up that way. Sometimes people just stand up, and you know which one's right. But sometimes we don't realize that maybe we just stood up instead of rising. I would say work the final choreo maybe on counts. And I'm talking about the section before the collapse. That seemed messy to me. I'd really work that out and forget the words for a little bit and go just on count so that you know exactly where the beats are. And sometimes there's an and in there. Maybe it's 1, 2, and 3 in the choreography or something like that. Everybody has to know where those ands are and where those little subdivisions are. And then your final thing that I would say is when you have this final arm, there's got to be kind of a button at the end. It can't just go, I'm done, right? There's got to be that strength, and there's got to be that final button there. So it's really details that my guess is you maybe have already talked about, and now you're listening to me and you're going, oh shoot, I thought we were doing that. So now that you've seen somebody else take a look at it, you might find out, oh, I do have to do that a little bit stronger. I do have to pay attention to that. And the last thing I would say is every show choir in the world is the same in that some people are really comfortable with choreography and they get it super fast, and then some people take longer. And it's true with every group. And so if you feel like there's moves that you don't quite have down yet, that's okay. There's still time to fix it. What's not okay is being too shy to want to fix it. And so if there's a video that you can practice with, or even we all know who the trained dancers are in every group. You find somebody and say, hey, can you help me with this? What's this supposed to look like? Or even you look at that person who just makes it look good, and you look at him head to toe, figure out what it is. Sometimes it's just a posture thing and a confidence thing. But you're at a point in the show now where you can do the whole thing. So now you push yourself as an individual to get up to that level. It's more fun to improve rather than kind of stay the same. And so take a look at different spots in the show as for you as an individual and see what else you can do with it. Otherwise, you did a lot of things that we always expect. Singing really well, singing powerfully. You got a show that makes sense. Now just take the details and go further with it.
Yeah, I agree with Joel on so many of those things. And also, just on the fact that I always love watching the Fremont Middle School show. I know it's going to be entertaining. I know it's going to be energetic. I know each of the individuals is going to be responsible for their own selves, and they are going to be committed. I always know that going in. That is so great. And probably if this was a regular year, you would have a longer show. I don't know if you're still going to add some things, but it is really a good show the way it is. I've got just a few things I'm going to add as well. On the very beginning in The Greatest Showman, when you sing the very end of the phrase, like, think of what I could be, at the end of that, we have a tendency to move to the end, and then we're cutting off the end because you have to breathe, right? But you want to really think about not making that a staccato cut off and accenting it. I call it a hiccup. I can't remember how the end goes.
Think of what I used to be. Da, da, da.
Yeah.
It's too short.
Yeah, it's think of what I used to be, and we're accenting it and cutting it off too short. Just give it a little bit more length, and that's a whole bunch of phrases in that song like that. I wrote that I love the passion in the individuals, that you are selling it. Every person is selling it. And I loved what Joel said, that we have to all agree that we're going to sell the same amount, but I feel like you're all doing that. And then there's just a little bit of cleaning with what I call little arms. Things like maybe it seems like you touched something at the very end, but it wasn't all right together. And those are real easy things to clean. We just take a moment to do that. In the second song, in the Dream On song, I think maybe Joel and I were thinking of the same thing. When you sing the word tears, there's some kind of sweep. I think it sweeps down. And we have some people that are down in 1 or 2 counts, and some people that are using the entire time. And what I like to do is think, if it's 8 counts, on 4 I'm going to be right here, then 5, 6, 7, 8. And it has to have an ending. And Joel addressed that. It's also in my little clinic workshop, I talk about that. It was great to see James from my working show singing the solo, and you did so well. And then just my last little thing, I agree about the choreography right before we do the opposite clap things. That just needs some attention. Be careful of this year with masks. We get used to the fact our mask slips down and we pull it back up, and it becomes a habit we're used to. And that's a selfish movement that pulls attention to us. And there's a great moment in your show where we do a contagion from one side to the other, and then it sweeps back to this side. And it was great. Our vision went right with you. It was wonderful. We came back, and right at the end, we had some people fixing their hair and fixing their costume and their mask. And you want to make sure that those things don't become habits that we're okay with. You want to perform as much as you can. Of course, if your mask falls down, we want you to be safe. Pull it back up, but don't let that become a habit. Fremont Middle School, Tiger Pride, you guys always do such great thing. Thanks for being involved in our Festival of the Arts.